What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Avengers. This time with issue number 17, the much anticipated Storm issue. And if you missed the last issue of the Avengers, I'll put up a link at the top of the screen and another at the end of the video. But now that the Blood Hunt event is over, it's time to pick up the pieces from both Blood Hunt and the Krakoan era and into the new From the Ashes era and the new beginning for all of the mutants. So if you guys are ready to see how the Avengers bounce back from all of the drama they just went through with Blood Hunt, and you've been waiting on the addition of Storm to the team, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So we kick this issue off with the Avengers in Impossible City, recapping the events of Blood Hunt. And right now, Carol Danvers is disappointed in their failure during that time. But T'Challa sees it differently. The sun shines again, the world is still spinning, and all the survivors are now thriving. They defeated Varney and the vampires. But Carol's issue, though, is that it should have never happened in the first place. And because it did, thousands of people lost their lives. But Wanda also chimes in and reminds Carol that they did manage to save billions and stop an extinction level event. But for Carol, it's not enough. Extinction level events are a part of the Avengers' job description, and thousands dead instead of billions to her is still a failure. Close enough is not enough, she tells the team. Plus, Dr. Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme, Miles Morales is still a vampire, and now vampires can walk around in the sunlight. It's enough to make Carol straight up blow a fuse and end up having to walk away from this conversation. But then we pick up in Gainesville, Florida, a week before Blood Hunt began, as a mysterious stranger hands a thumb drive to an old man and tells him to bring this drive to the local news in 10 days. And in return for his service, the stranger offers to pay the man ahead of time, and handsomely at that, as the stranger then pulls out a large chunk of solid gold as payment. So of course the old man's like, well, what's to keep me from just keeping the gold and then tossing the drive when you leave? And the stranger responds, nothing. But he will know if it's not delivered. Then we transition back to now with the Avengers in Impossible City as Tony goes to talk to Carol after her little blow up. And with him being her sponsor, he knows that moments like this can lead to a drink. And we all know how well documented his history is with that. But what he sees Carol doing right now is trading one addiction for another. Being addicts, they know a lot about guilt. But it can also be an addiction too, and that's kind of what he's getting from her right now. Meanwhile, T'Challa takes this moment to catch up with the sentient Impossible City, since he and the city both had been compromised during Blood Hunt. But now T'Challa thinks that they need to prepare for more future threats, since being Avengers leaves them under constant threat, city included. And then T'Challa uses the Twilight Court for an example, a group that the Avengers had fought against back before the fall of the House of X and Blood Hunt events. But since everything had happened back to back, the city never got the chance to reveal that when the Avengers fought the Twilight Court, it never registered any enemies, so the city was confused as to who the Avengers were fighting. The Twilight Court was imperceptible to the city. Meanwhile, Wanda, as she searches for Sam, comes across a garden that Vision and the Impossible City created. Since they're both synthetic beings, they get a kick out of organic life, so they started a garden out in orbit. But right now, Wanda's looking for resolution from the earlier conversation about Blood Hunt. And she wonders what Vision thinks about it, since she values his counsel. But Vision actually agrees with Carol. While yes, Wanda is correct in thinking that thousands of lives lost versus billions is a favorable outcome, thousands of lives lost is still a grave outcome and a failure. Meanwhile, on Pluto, we see that mysterious man again, and you can probably tell who this is with the whole red and yellow color scheme. But I'll wait until the actual reveal. But this guy thinks to himself that this was his last resort. He had hoped to find lucidity here, but he was wrong. There is no truth here. no more than there was on Earth. And now it's time for him to return. To return and end it. And then we pick up in Atlanta with Sam, and we see that he's meeting up with Storm. And the first thing that he does is thank her for meeting with him. And then he lets her know that there's something that he's been wanting to talk with her about. But before he gets into it, he asks if she feels like flying with him. And one thing we all know about Storm is that she's always in the mood for flying. But while they fly, now they can talk. And right now, Sam, like everyone else, is still harping over the earlier conversation about whether or not the Avengers failed the world during Blood Hunt. And initially, Storm doesn't want to weigh in on Avengers business, but Sam insists. So she asks him if there were any warnings that they ignored. And Sam tells her that he doesn't think so. So then she asks if they fought back with any reservations. And once again, he replies to her, none. So she tells him then that to her, it sounds like the Avengers did everything they could. It was a terrible time, which she knows a thing or two about. And she also knows that even winning brings terrible losses. And the hard truth is that there are times when you just can't save everyone. But that does not mean you don't try to, even if it means your own end. Then Sam admits to her that these things were easier when he was just a Falcon and not Captain America. But Storm tells him that he wears it well, but then asks if she's eased his mind. And he tells her that she has, although it doesn't change that they have indeed failed though. As the Avengers, they're supposed to stand for every being on the planet, and they failed the mutants. They should have never let Orchis get as strong as they did, he tells her. But Storm tries to ease his regret by telling him that Orchis outmaneuvered her entire species. The Avengers really couldn't have done much. But for Sam, it doesn't matter. The warnings were there, and they did have reservations, and it shouldn't have happened. The Avengers have to stand for mutants the same way they do for everyone else, and they need mutant representation. They need a mutant voice, and he'd like for Storm to be that voice, and he officially offers her to join the Avengers. And then we pick back up in Gainesville, Florida, at a news station, as one of the reporters shows another that mysterious drive given to him from some weirdo out front, he says. They said that a superhero had given it to him to bring to their station. And at first it sounds pretty sketchy, but they decide to plug it into the computer to see what it is. And the moment they see it, they call for their boss to come and check it out. Everyone's gonna want to see this, they say. And then we switch back over to the Impossible City now with Thor as he's roasting a pig, when the city interrupts him to show a transmission from Earth that seems important. And in the message, a voice speaks saying, "Do you know what it's like to have so much to offer the world, but have no place in it?" And then we get the reveal of his face as he introduces himself. "My name is Hyperion. I was the Earth's greatest hero, and I saved it time and time again. I lived in a world that was good. I lived in a world that made sense. A world where I loved and was loved. But that world was a lie, and everything I knew and had done was a lie." And he's referring to the events of Heroes Reborn from 2021. But as his transmission is playing, we can see the Avengers scrambling once again for another emergency. And then we continue with the transmission, as Hyperion says that if my world was a lie, what did that make me? If your world is real, then I am a lie. If I am real, then it is your world that is a lie. And I have no way to prove either, so I am going to end both. By the time you hear this, I will be approaching Earth at a significant portion of the speed of light on a collision course. When I arrive, when I impact, what is a lie and what is truth will no longer be relevant. I don't tell you this to frighten you. I tell you this so that you have time to make peace with whatever you hold important. And then as we see a full shot of Hyperion headed straight for Earth, and his transmission finishes with "Nothing can stop him. Hyperion out." That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So what did you guys think about that one? I thought it was cool to see the Avengers reflecting on whether or not they could have done more. And I definitely like the addition of Storm to the team. although she never really gave an official answer. But what did you guys think about the Hyperion reveal? Now, I never read that Heroes Reborn story, so I definitely can't wait for you guys to catch me up on how things ended with Hyperion in that. Because this plan of his seems batty as hell. But I do remember that dope moment with him and Thor in Time Runs Out though. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they have another moment. But you guys know I want to hear all your thoughts and theories down in the comments about this issue and the Hyperion Crash Course. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you can do so by stopping by the Comics Icons store and picking you up some Comics Icons merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video, now available for download. Or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and there'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, your voice will be heard during our interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icons merchandise from the Comics Icons store. Plus, we've got tiers to the memberships as well, beginning at just 99 cents. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of that, then you can still be a tremendous help to the future of this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.